Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to join us for our 13th episode of STEM STEAM activities at home or in the classroom. This is a weekly webinar, only 30 minutes. It's just long enough for you to get what you need, but short enough to be able to fit into your schedule. Now I'm going to pass over to Josh, who will be presenting this webinar. Take it away, Josh.
Thank you, Jordan. So, hi, I'm Josh, and over to my left is Pete. Hey, Pete. There you go, Pete. Pete's over there. And we're here today with Nasco Education. There we go. Yay. Before we forget, if you have any questions, comments, burning desires you want to share with us, please contact the fine people at Nasco Education by emailing engage@nascoeducation.com. If you want to follow Nasco on social media and find other fun events like today, you can do so at one of these many amazing social media links. Basically, social media / forward slash, my bad, Nasco Education for all these fun things. Follow them today. You'll see all the cool things they do because they have many cool things they do. I have seen their warehouse. It's full of cool stuff. So again, I'm Josh. If you have any questions during the live stream, throw them in the chat window, or at the end, we'll take a few questions at the end. Seriously, questions while we're doing this, ask, and Pete will let me know. That's why he's over there, to do many clicky things. And we're happy to answer them as we're doing these activities. A lot of things we've been doing have been things that are very much focused at home learning, or activities that are very simple to implement in your classroom, or very flexible, so you can do them in your classroom or at home, because we know things are pretty wonky right now for everyone, and we understand that needs are changing on a daily basis for people. Today, we're gonna do a really fun thing. We're gonna be making a book lamp. This is actually a request from a local teacher here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for their high interest day for their school. And we're like, sure, it's been on our big list of things to make for some time. And it's just a simple book light the kids can attach to their paperback or hardcover book. It lights up. It's entirely can be made by the kids with just a pair of scissors and the template that we've put up. Now, Pete, is this up on our website right now?
I believe it is. Yeah.
So Jordan's going to grab that from our website and he's going to share it with everybody at the end. He always does that. So he's going to share that and have that PDF available as a downloadable link. It's just a single sheet, which we'll show off here. And it's a very simple cut, minor bit amount of folding involved with a couple different components here took together. And it is a very simple activity, really 4th, 5th, 6th graders, not a problem with this one. Older kids, they'll breeze through this in no time whatsoever. But again, the nice part is they want to do this at home, implement this activity over Zoom via video chat. You can do it without too much of a hassle because of how straightforward it is for kids. It's also a good just confidence building project for circuitry, as there's not a lot that can go wrong on it. It's something they can actually use and something they can then explain and show off. So let's switch to the overhead view so I can show off all the components involved. So here's the paper circuits template we have right here with some directions on it. This is a nice printable. We highly recommend you use some heavier paper for this. I've been telling people for a while now, 30 to 50 pound cardstock is a sweet spot for a lot of paper circuits activities, especially in a project you want to use and do for different things. Printer paper, your standard notebook paper, it's a little thin. For this, 30 to 50 pound cardstock would be great. That's what we're using. We're using some thicker paper for this. Also, it looks a lot nicer on camera. We also have a little step-by-step guide here, although it is pretty straightforward on this piece of paper, especially any other paper circuits activities whatsoever. But Andy put together very much step-by-step picture direction on here, just very picture-oriented without even any words on there, because this is just the step-by-step process. I might recommend Andy put numbers on here in the future, but it's just very much left to right, because there's not a whole lot to this, because it's a pretty fun and simple project. We're surprised we didn't do this before. So we're actually gonna go like this, to the side, and we're going to do this thing. So let's go over the parts involved. First off, if you want a kit full of paper circuit stuff like this right here, you can find this at Nasco. They have, this is a small version of the kit. We also have a classroom set as well. The classroom set is $100 retail price point, and it comes with enough materials for a 40+ project. So 40 batteries, 120 LEDs, 130 feet of tape, 40 binder clips, actually 48 binder clips because they come in 12s, but enough for at least 40 projects out of that $100. So it's a very nice price per activity when it comes to kids in the classroom. And if you need to as well, you can always break down that bigger kit into smaller kits to send home. Now, Nasco also carries some at-home learning kits from us in 10 to, I believe, $25. I'm probably wrong on that bigger one. I totally forget. I always think of the smaller one because that's in my head recently. But they carry a $10 small home learning paper circuits kit that goes with all the lessons and lesson plans we have. And you can make this as part of that. So we're gonna put this guy to the side. Not gonna throw it, he's my demo. And we're gonna get together. The parts you need for this are the following parts. You're gonna need a white LED. You can also use more than one if you wanna get really fancy. You need a binder clip like this right here, a little binder clip, yay. You're gonna need a coin cell battery. This is your standard CR2032 coin cell battery. Don't write it down because it's what everyone uses anyway. We have those in our kits. They're just a nice little 3-volt battery. We're gonna need some maker tape, which is our tape right here. Yay, maker tape. This is our nylon conductive tape. It is imperative you use the nylon tape, not the copper foil, because copper foil will not handle this. Copper foil is not awesome. Thanks, Pete. We even have a graphic up there that says no copper foil tape. It's weak. It can't handle any stress or bending or folding, which we need to do a little bending and folding on here because it's a book lamp. And then our maker tape, we call it. So, yay.
If you have any questions on construction, let me know. I went over it with Andy.
Pete also helped make this too. And here's the template you would print off. This is printed on a nice big 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. That's why I have a little border here. So 8.5 by 11, this will print off on. Again, 30 to 50 pound cards, like I highly recommend that. And we have a couple different lines to look at, and they're actually very nicely labeled. We have the dotted lines, which are the cut lines, cut here. Then we have fold lines, which mean fold here. So cut. There's one little spot here you have to cut inward. Again, small scissors, not a problem because it's very simple cutting. We're trying to make this as simple as possible because we're designing this for 3rd and 4th graders for the local elementary school. So we'd cut this with a nice big pair of scissors like this. I'd go cut off screen, and then we'd, oh, look at this, I'm done so quickly. I'm gonna zoom in a bit too. Yeah, it's not a super big project. Let me just focus there. So many cameras, so little time. So as it comes to on this one, you can see here, we have already cut our out and cut right here. And somebody was super nice to fold along this line right here. I recommend a ruler. Every kid has a ruler around. It's a nice straight edge for folding. Makes it really simple. And there's a good reason for that, because we have to fold this over to get this more structural integrity. There you go. But we're not gonna do that yet because we're not to that point. So I'm going to assume I know exactly how Andy's doing this project. We're gonna take this stuff together. So first and foremost, we're gonna start with our negative line of tape. And we're gonna start right down here and bring our tape from the middle of the spot right here, which is in my face. There we go. Here over up to where our LED is. Now, if we wanted to, we could also put the tape down on top of the LED leg if we wanted to go that route. Or we could do the tape first, then put our LED down, then put tape on top of our LED leg. Tape, leg, tape, or just paper, leg, tape. Either way works fine. Just it doesn't really matter. I tell kids if you do it one way or the other, it still ends up the same result, whatever is easier for you. So we're gonna put tape down. We're gonna do this right away. Gonna cut some maker tape here. Or actually I could probably, let's just say this much. Now, our maker tape does come with a nice wax paper backing on it, so you could cut a strip off and give it to children if need be. That's entirely why we went that route, because I know so many people who have to cut down tape, give it to children in chunks. These small take-home kits that Nasco carries of ours, the $10 paper circuit ones, they have a small student-sized roll, 16-foot roll in there, personal sized, if you will, your personal pan pizza versus your large pizza. We had a pizza day at our office. It was inauguration day, so like all inauguration days, both governor and occasionally president, we always have a pizza here at our office. Seems like a good reason to have a pizza at the office.
Yeah.
A bunch of hungry people, they never say no to a free pizza. So I'm gonna do a little right-hand turn, a little right-hand fold. I know a lot of teachers are pros of the right-hand fold for paper. Oh, so smooth, Pete, so smooth.
Yeah.
Other people who aren't teachers are like, what do you mean right-hand fold? How do you do that? Well, little teacher things that you somehow get weirdly good at from doing a lot of paper craft projects. I taught 4th grade for a year, and it's a few little things. I know how to do these weird things because I did so many arts and crafts with 4th graders. So there we go. We can use one strip right here. Now, if you wanted to, you're like, oh no, Josh, I'm really horrible at like angle folds for tape. Not a problem. You can take your piece of tape, go to the end of the spot right here and cut. You can overlap that, put the second piece of tape, overlap it, and then keep on going because our tape is conductive on top and bottom. That's right, folks, top and bottom, hashtag maker tape, which is just handy. Just make sure if you do one on top of the other, you just give a nice little firm press just to make sure that there's a solid connection. It's typically, yeah, pretty darn easy to do it that way. I do it that a lot too because I underestimate or overestimate how much tape I need. Like I clearly use too much tape. Actually, we just fine. So yay, we've done that. We've done literally half the tape. So I'm going to take a strip of tape here, a little bit of tape, not all my tape, just a strip of tape. Moving on to the all-important tape loop section. And we're actually just having a conversation with a educator about this before the live stream. They were using a much more complicated version of making a battery holder, a much older way of doing it, which was just way too complicated for what they were doing. And it was causing them headaches with their kids. So we recommended this approach because our tape is conductive on top and bottom. We just make a standard little tape loop like you would to hang a picture up on a wall and stick it on top of that line of tape you did. Again, it's conductive on top and bottom, sticking on top. We then take our battery, just stick it down. Ta-da, electrical connection is done.
And mechanical connection.
It's true. It is true. And nice thing is too, if you want to say replace the battery, you can always just peel off and you're good. The tape is not so sticky that it's impossible to get this off. Put a new tape loop on if you need to. New battery, but nice and easy to do. It just works a very easy way to make a battery holder literally anywhere. You can make a battery holder right here on the table. It doesn't matter. And it does make things way easier for kids to do paper circus projects on all sorts of things without having to make a complicated battery holder. They're making a nice little sleeve that then we use alligator clips on, just way too complicated for a basic paper circus project. So moving on, we're gonna take this piece of tape like so. We're gonna put it on top of our battery. Ooh, we're gonna come down and we're gonna stop where it tells us to stop, which would be about right here. We're gonna make our own switch today, folks. Ta-da! Now I'm gonna take this tape, I'm gonna put it to the side because I don't wanna use it quite yet. I'm gonna use it for the last part. I'm gonna go all the way up. I'm gonna finish this first.
Keep that gap small. It helps.
Yeah, the gap should be small. There's a reason why you have, what is it, maybe a ½ inch gap right there.
Make it pretty tiny. Just enough.
Pete says the tinier the better.
Yeah.
So we'll make it nice and tiny for the Pete. There, there, there. That's about right. Ta-da. Maker tape. Good old nylon. Good enough for parachutes. Good enough for me. And again, if you ever run out of tape, just overlap another piece and keep going. That's one of the issues we had with copper tape ages ago. In my classroom, the kids would not estimate how much they'd stop too short for tape, and then they'd have to start all over again with copper tape because it wasn't conductive on top and bottom. This stuff we were using 8 years ago. So I'm gonna make a nice little, like a little tiny gap there. As long as we're not touching, we're fine, but the smaller the gap, the better. We're gonna try to do some nice right angle turns so I don't sound like a silly guy being like, look at my awesome right angle turns and do a horrible job on camera.
I think that was a left angle turn.
Oh, 90-degree turn. We're gonna come out to about the same spot as before. Nip. Maybe I'll save that for later. And there we go. We've got all of our tape done with a little gap here and a gap here. So we don't have a short circuit. If we connected those together and power just flowed around on its own, it'd be a short circuit and our battery get really warm and run out of power very quickly. We're gonna make a switch next because switches are fun. So we're gonna take this wonderful little black binder clip, and black binder clips are great for lots of fun stuff, not just holding two pieces of paper together. So we actually have a nice little thing right here that says, hey, put the binder clip there, like so. And we're gonna make sure that it lines up perfectly.
Yeah.
It's almost as if we measured things out ahead of time. Now that's the nice part. If you need to, oh no, things don't reach quite enough or too far, you can always have your tape come out. Put a little bit of tape out of it. You could, again, overlap tape. It doesn't matter if it's ugly or not, as long as it works. I think that's the red-green approach for that TV show.
Right.
Don't have to be handsome if you're handy. Very, very Wisconsin thing to say. So we're gonna cover the end of this guy right here. Now the metal in here is already conductive, so they will probably flow through here just fine. We're gonna like double check to make sure it's great, but we're gonna basically making a wraparound here with a bunch of our conductive tape, just wrapping a little loop around a couple of times. I'm gonna use this extra tape I had sitting here. Just gives a bit more surface area and also a little bit of cushion. There we go. So we can have a little more press down on there, and then ta-da, electrical connection through here. So that is a very easy, handy switch. It's a simple switch. This way it's a switch that stays on. It's not just a momentary switch. Now we can make a momentary switch by taking a piece of paper and running tape up and then just bending the paper. So we can just be like, okay, press down, momentary switch. Very simple to do with paper. We have a whole lesson plan on switches that Pete wrote up with various types of fun switches. Heck, we even have done some gigantic knife switches out of cardboard and paper. I think we did that on another stream here for Nasco as well. Fun way to make a big old switch just with some cardboard and some maker tape and a couple little brass fasteners, brass brads, I believe they're called. So at this point, we are missing one important crucial thing. We're missing an LED, a light source. Why, look at that. It's a handy infographic that shows LEDs. Now, if you have never used an LED before, you're probably wondering, Josh, there are two legs on here. One is short and one is long. What's going on with that? Doesn't have an issue. Like, no, the short leg is always negative. The long leg is always positive. Fun thing to learn. And Pete's clicking, so much clicking. There you go.
The blinking LED.
Blinking LEDs do exist. They're fun. We have some of the kits that Nasco carries. Our origami circuits kit has naturally blinking LEDs. You just turn on and off on their own. They're kind of fun for projects. So negative side's going over here, clearly labeled, negative, positive over here. And because I chose to wait and put on my LED here at the end, I'm gonna have to secure them down. And the easiest way to secure them down is just by using a little bit more tape. Now you could use some clear tape. I mean, that would work just fine too, some standard clear tape, but I'm just gonna use a little bit of this extra maker tape I have here just to doubly secure it down. Then I know there's a strong electrical connection all around. Clear tape would be fine. Just have extra tape. So I'm just gonna take this guy, I'm gonna put the legs down here. We're gonna just tape this down. Now my big thing is making sure I don't say go from one side to the other. I wanna leave a gap. Short circuits are bad. The movie, good. That's Steve Gutenberg.
What year is that from?
Sometime in the 80s, because that's when Steve Gutenberg was at his height.
Yeah.
I don't know. Johnny Five, alive. And we do the same thing on this side. Again, just making sure we don't overlap. A movie ahead of its time. So, then get this other one off. There we go. Same thing, and then on this side, and then we have our positive on this side, negative on that side. The two sides do not touch. And then let's see here, moment of truth, everybody, moment of truth. It works, almost as if it was planned that way. And you notice it stays on because of Mr. Binder Clip, or Madam Binder Clip.
That's a latching switch.
A latching switch would be the appropriate term. It latches and stays in one position, as opposed to a momentary switch, which is, you know, push button stuff, which are fun. But since we're using a book light, we want to stay on for quite a while because I assume people read for more than 1 second at a time. They want to do that. So now lastly, we need to do structural integrity. That's why we have these folds here. Like, that's the last thing to do. And for this, you'll either want to, one, just fold it and then be silly about it and just be I'm done. Or two, you want to use some clear tape. And I'm just gonna use a couple little pieces of clear tape here. The biggest thing here, especially depending on how thick your paper is, to get a little bit more rigidity. We actually originally tried doing this with a standard printer paper and have like several folds to make it nice and thick, but it wasn't as elegant, especially for kids usage. That many folds in a row was really annoying. And we just highly recommend in general, just the thicker paper made, especially this section, way easier to use. So I'm just gonna use a couple pieces of clear tape here to tape this down. I'm gonna throw one there. And then I'm gonna throw a couple more around. Now the clear tape is not conductive, masking tape is not conductive, so you can just throw it really anywhere you want to throw it on here, as long as you're just kind of putting a couple pieces of tape down. And and we have one here too, just to give a little more rigidity on this side. Just want to throw a little piece of tape up there as well. You can. Ta-da. Now I bent the LED down a bit here so that.
And that little flap of paper at the top.
Well, yes, we're actually going to bend everything because if you had a book light like this, that's kind of like, actually, I don't have a book over here, actually, of all the things.
Do we have books?
Well, Andy had a book he was using. Would you grab that little book Andy had? Yes, from a different company. A nice little notebook from another company. I think there's like a make one as well in the other room. Let me get that. So if you had a book like this, it wouldn't be very useful because it'd be shining in your face the entire time. So we just basically have a direction saying bend in a couple different locations, depending on your book. So you can bend, say, here or here based on the size of your book to make a couple bends that work best for you. Oh, Pete has a notebook. Oh, cool. We can grab this little one from a different company who I believe Nasco also sells. It's a cute little book. Actually, it's perfect for this. So you can show, we're just going to go here, and we can just use this binder clip as well, again, depending on the thickness of your book. We can actually use the binder clip then to clip to the book. So now it's clipped physically to the book. It's like this, yay, and then we can go like here, and if we want, again, you want to find a couple spots to bend, say here, for instance, and you have a reading light, or what Andy was doing, a curriculum writer was doing like a double bend, so it would point more at the book, and you got yourself a little book light. You can read with some light. If you want to do more than one LED, you totally can, if you want some extra light on that, and it works great for paperback books. This is actually one on, it's a book on paper circuits from somebody else who makes a good product, which we like looking at their book because it's nice. And if you need to as well, see, connection's pretty good on this. If you need to, I always tell people if the connection's not super, you can always keep your finger like right here over that pressing point, or you can just, it works vast majority of the time.
Add more tape.
Add more tape, make that cushion bigger is the way to do it, because it's just the amount of pressure on there, but keep your finger there if it's having an issue. So that was the entire book thing, and exactly at 4:25, we're told we have to take questions at 4:25. It's 4:24 according to the big clock on my wall, but that's the project. And of course, when you're done, you just flip Circuit Sticker Sketchbook. It's a very good book. It's a free download too. They're very nice people. But at that point, Jordan, let's see what questions we have from the wonderful people out there watching this amazing book light we have just made. Oh, by the way, that maker tape is, let me say too, the reason we can bend and fold this like this, because the maker tape is nylon, it bends and folds really, really well. You can do this all day, it's not gonna break. That's why I have to use the nylon tape versus the copper foil tape. So I'm gonna put my hand over this other company's book. Very nice book.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we do sell their stuff too. They make a
Nice
very
people.
good product. Yep, and a lot of good resources. But this is mainly a great project, easy to use, very friendly for a lot of different students for various reasons. And plus they get to learn a little bit as well. The rigidity of the paper is really key to your point. Yeah, it has to be a little bit thicker paper for sure.
Well, it's also a project that they can actually use right away. It's not and a lot of paper circuits things we do, like things I have sitting over here from previous live streams, like making a polar bear that lights up. That's really adorable. It's not useful. It's a bear.
It is useful. It makes someone smile, right? And it goes a long way.
You're making your own tool though. This is a tool that you can then use. And I think it's very different than a whimsical thing. Making a cupcake is fun, but being able to make something a little more useful food-wise is also has a different kind of thing to it. Being able to make a turkey versus making a cupcake. Turkey. I'm going to food analogies. Pete's over here cracking up. He has no. Pete would rather eat cupcakes. He's a cupcake kind of guy. But anyway, questions, people? In the like 4 minutes we have, questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah. So I'm looking over at the questions tab. Currently, I don't see any. So I'm thinking like you did such a magical job that I think they have no questions whatsoever. I'm just going to assume.
Jordan, it wasn't me. It was the amazing directions made by Andy and Pete, mostly Andy. But let's say we'll have Pete in there too, a little bit of Pete. He didn't do anything, but we'll just assume he did. But these amazing.
And they also might be looking over the handouts too. I did do the handouts, the instructions and the template. They're in the handouts, so they can see those two things there that they can download as PDFs. But I mean, if there's any other questions, feel free to ask now, or if you want to do any kind of extension activities from this, let us know. We can certainly add some applications. I mean, if you wanted to add a resistors and other different things, you certainly could. But
you don't need to.
You don't need to, right? Like, but I mean, that's the add-on. If you really want to add the circuitry level to it, I mean, make it more advanced.
I was gonna say, like, actually, Jordan, fun factoid, in all the Brown Dog Gadgets kits Nasco carries, our LEDs have built-in resistors on their head. No, that's right, folks. No need to add your own in for all the parallel circuits fun or whatnot. Because we realized a lot of like 4th and 5th grade teachers, especially or teachers who are just new to this, don't realize you need a resistor in a lot of the circuits you're doing. So as opposed to us getting phone calls like, hey, this isn't working or having these issues, we just started quietly building them into the heads of all of our LEDs. They're there, you can test for it, and you can tell, but we make it so nobody has to care or be worried or be concerned. So they're there, whether you want them to or not. But it just makes life a little easier for everybody, especially using more than one color in the same circuit, then they all light up at an equal brightness. And in a situation where red's on, but the white isn't, which was what happened if I put a red and a white in the same circuit. One would turn on, one wouldn't because of the differences in their power requirements. Red and yellow are easier to flow through than white and blue. I guess red and green, nobody has yellow LEDs. Not really. So anywho, so no questions. I'm glad we were exactly on time for this one. So it makes me very happy. It makes Jordan happy too. I can tell he is just chuckling
absolutely.
with happiness.
All right. Well, again, thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks, Josh, for presenting. My name is Jordan Nelson. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager with Nasco. I was your host today. And give a shout out to all your educators who are still making it happen for students. One last thing I want to mention, if you do have any other questions or any kind of follow-up from this webinar, you can reach out to us at engage@nascoeducation.com. I'll also put a link in for our next webinar as well for next week. It's going to be on the 27th, same time. It's going from 4 to 4:30 Central Time. Oh, and I believe that link doesn't always copy very well. I have to take out the brackets, otherwise it doesn't. The hyperlink doesn't work. Oh my goodness, you guys! All right, you cracked me up. Make sure to also, when you end up, you can fill out that survey for any other comments, questions, or any kind of other feedback that you want for this webinar. I guess that's it. Well, thank you guys so much. Hopefully we see you next week, and have a great rest of your day and week. Take care, everybody.
Bye.